Okay, so so we're in here until 9:49. Now, after this, you guys have period 4, then it goes 6, 7, then period 5. Now, I don't know which lunch period you guys will have for period 5. So I would say, as always, a safety precaution for period 5 to show up to your class first, and they'll tell you if you're at lunch or if you're here, if you have sea lunch. So just be aware of that. Then 8, 9 at the end. Now this is slightly off, but at 1:25, 1:30, all classes will report down to the auditorium. We'll have a large group meeting today at 1:30. Then they'll tell you where to go after that. So like seniors will go to graduation meetings, and then each class will have their homecoming meeting. There's all those other things going on. So after period 9, we report down to the auditorium, and then we'll have our meetings after that. So just be aware of that. Don't leave for the day. Remember, we have meetings. So. If you have not already, put your cell phone back in the caddy. Stand up right now. If you have not put your cell phone back there, go put them back there right now. Take your time. Go back there, put them back there. Every single day. Don't even question it. I want them back there. I don't want to question it. Just find your own number. I don't assign you a number. I'm going to trust that you find it back there. If you're that person that doesn't put it back there and it suddenly bangs in your pocket, then it's mine. You don't get another warning. So. Perfect. Okay. Now, every day when you walk in, don't even question, just put it back there, go sit, find your little pod. I'll have the scene chart on the board, whatever scene chart we have that day if we have one. So, keep that in mind. So, I'll just trust that you find your way back there. So, we're here for consumer math, correct. You're not in the wrong class. I think everyone was here, okay? So, okay, I'm Mr. Ward. Hi, if you have never met me. So, I'll go a little bit about myself here in a little bit. You can call me Mr. Ward, Coach Ward, doesn't matter, just something with Ward in it. And then, I'm a mentor model teacher, so what that means for you guys is that sometimes I'll have other teachers and educators in here randomly. They're not to watch you, they're here to watch the lesson that day. Maybe it's like a certain style of teaching, or maybe it's the type of lesson we're doing that day. So don't be thrown off by that. It could be just an admin, just coming and sitting down. They're here to watch something going on that day that was premeditated. So just keep that in mind. They're not to watch you. Now, background about myself, you don't know. I'm a Ventura grad, just down the street. I graduated from Ventura back in 2001. Yeah, really old. So I graduated from Ventura, then I went to Iowa State, and I graduated there with a bachelor's in mathematics, a minor in psychology. I almost had a minor in science and history. I have a ton of credits. So, so that's a little bit about myself, and I'm coaching certified. I've coached every sport except for wrestling. Ventura didn't have wrestling, so I don't know anything about wrestling. Never coached soccer, even though it's one of my favorite sports, or baseball. Never coached baseball or softball. So there's a little bit about myself, so you're aware of that. Now, when you walk in here, here's the non-negotiables. When you walk in this room, this is the things you have to have on you every single day, other than today, obviously. You need a pencil or a pen, something erasable, not a crayon, not a marker. You need pencil or pen. That's erasable. Now, you'll need a textbook. You will get a physical textbook. They're like 2 pounds. They're not even that big. They're really skinny. You'll get one of those. You need to put, your first assignment will be to put a book cover on it. There is no online version of this textbook. Sorry, there's not. I don't have one. There's not one that exists. So you'll need to have your textbook every single day with the book cover on it. Now, what do I mean by book cover? It could be a little socky, stretchy thing. It could be the Hy-Vee food bag, the paper bag style thing. But it has to be a book cover, a legitimate book cover, not just 2 pieces of paper taped to the cover. So that'll be your first assignment of the year. So keep that in mind. But you'll get your textbooks tomorrow. They're individually numbered, so you can't just hand it to your neighbor. You can't just steal somebody else's. So. Notebook, you'll need a dedicated notebook, not loose sheets of paper. You need dedicated notebook. We take a ton of notes in here. There's tons of stuff. There's tons of assignments we do. We turn in lots of paper. I'll still do some Google Forms stuff, but for right now we're doing normal paper stuff. You'll need a calculator. Now, I just recommend these little cheap $10 ones, right? Don't go buy a $80 calculator. Those are dumb. $10 or less. You'll be fine. I have 10 calculators that look like this. I bought them this year. You can borrow them when you're in class, but you can't take them with you. So keep that in mind. So you'll need a calculator, something cheap. If you don't have access, I always have some that you can borrow during class period. And then you'll need your Chromebook. We do a lot of research online where I have you go look up stuff. So make sure you bring your Chromebook every single day. That doesn't mean you get to go online and check your email and message people and stuff. You got to be using it for a specific purpose. Either researching the thing I'm asking you to research or going to my website and watching a film on something, okay? Now, textbook itself, here it is. It's really skinny. It's like less than an inch thick. It's really small. It's a very tiny book. It's kind of expensive. It was $80 as of this morning, so that fluctuates throughout the year, but that's an expensive book. So don't lose it, don't damage it. They're really actually pretty good shape for the age of them. They have 448 pages. This is not Dead Poet Society. Don't rip pages out. Leave them in. We're going to use the pages. Now, we don't go through all 12 chapters. We don't. I skip around a lot. I don't go in order. I don't go 1 through 12. That's stupid. Sometimes you start chapter 1, sometimes we bounce to chapter 9, sometimes we're back to chapter 3. We'll bounce around depending on what we need. I'll try to always put on the board what chapter, what section we're in, so you know, so you're not aware of like we're hopping around. So it makes sense logically as you go throughout the year. Expect to cover chapters 1 through 6 in no particular order, and then chapters 7 through 12 at some point in, again, no particular order. It's kind of like semester 1, semester 2 kind of a thing, but then I'm going in order. Sometimes I bounce around a little bit. But that's kind of like, if you want an idea of like how I separate it. All right, now, calculators. These are good ones. Little, $5 things from Dollar General. Look at all those scientific keys. Those things are awesome. Look at that. It's got all the fancy buttons on it. Don't go out and buy the $189 thing. That's stupid. Don't buy it. Don't do that. It's a TI-89 Platinum. Yeah, it's got a keyboard you can type in solve. It'll do the math problem for you. But for $189, you could go online, buy a used iPad, download the Texas Instrument app, which is free, and it will do more than this thing, and you still have an iPad instead of that stupid thing that you can't even use in college, because then they banned it. So, $10 one, this one has been updated to this thing. This is kind of the newer model. Get this one, it's nice, $10 or less. And then obviously this is like a calculator for calculus. Don't buy that unless you're in Calc 1 in college. You have to have it in college. They require that you buy it. But don't buy it now. It's stupid, it's a waste of money. Wait till they force you to buy it later. Expectations. Now, there's only 10 of you in here, actually 11 now. These are like general rules, right? So it's not that big of a deal. You guys have heard it in years past, if you've had me before, quiet learning environment. Like right now it's kind of like pinned up quiet, which is fine. Some people really like that. They can learn better that way. But to me it's a little unnerving. I like to have a little bit of lively conversation. But if I'm up here lecturing or going through this new thing, I expect to be quiet. Because somebody needs to learn it. Because I know there's going to be at least a student in here that can be a super quick, hot temper because they're getting frustrated that they can't learn what they're supposed to be learning. So I want it to be quiet when we're learning stuff, and then when we get to like work time, it can be lively. We can have, we can have conversations because your neighbor might be able to explain it to you better than I can because you guys are on the same wavelength. I know the material, but sometimes it just takes that neighbor of yours to go, oh, this is how you do it. And you're like, oh, why didn't you just tell me that? Because maybe I didn't understand like that's what you needed to hear. Maybe I thought you'd figure that out. So, but quiet learning environment, respect your classmates. I don't care if you have a personal promise of me in here, you gotta respect them. The purpose of you walking through that door is to learn math. If it becomes a distraction that you can't learn math, then we have a problem. Okay, so respect your classmates. That means you're not the class clown. You're in here to learn and let others learn at the same time. Okay, take responsibility. A lot of people don't realize this. This should have been my number one bullet. Education is super personal. Some people just never hear that. It's super personal, education. Think about that. If you have a personal hobby, you probably learn everything about your hobby. Everything. You know everything about it. You research it, you watch YouTube videos on it, you watch TikToks, you watch everything about it, you soak it up like a sponge. But no one told you had to. It's just something you're interested in. Right? Like for me, I love tech. Anything tech. Macs, Windows computers, cell phones. I love everything. I learn everything about anything. How do I modify it? How do I change it? How do I use it? That's just me personally. No one's told me I need to do that. That's my hobby, right? I learn everything about it. Because it's personal, right? That should be the same with education. Think about it this way: high school math that you're in here, but any high school class, it's your personal time to learn something. You just soak it in. It doesn't matter if you're going to retain it later. You just soak it in, learn it, because it's personal. No one else can learn that for you. You just got to soak it in yourself, and then challenge yourself. Yeah, there's going to be days it can get frustrating in here. Not a lot, but it can be frustrating. This class will seem pretty simple for a little while, because I want to get baby steps so that you learn how to do stuff. And then after a while, we'll do some crazy stuff that you'll learn throughout the year that you can actually generally use for your life. Like real practical stuff that can actually be useful. If there's something you want to learn how to do, that's a great question. Throw them out there so that we can tie it into what we're doing that day. Maybe you thought of an idea, we'll tie it in. Now, classroom policies. Obviously, I already talked about it. Disruptive behavior. I don't want it. If you're that class clown, if you're gonna distract, if you're gonna cause a personal problem to somebody because you can't respect them, you're probably not gonna be in here very long. I don't tolerate it. We're here to learn. Soak it in, right? Homework. I assign homework, I expect it to be done on the due date, not the next day. I don't do that, that's weird. You guys have lives outside this room, I understand that. So, I give you a couple days to work on it, but I expect you to work on it when you're here, right? Because I give you time in class to work. Don't be that person who goes, I'm just gonna work on it at home. No, you won't. You're gonna work on it here. Because why would you wanna take your homework home to a parent that probably has never seen math for about 20 years, as opposed to me that sees it every day? Or your neighbors that are working on it with you. Work on it here. I'll give you time to get it done, you can turn it in, and then you don't have to worry about it. You'll be assigned a textbook, they're individually numbered, don't just steal your neighbors, they have individual numbers in them. Seating arrangement. I switch seating arrangements every couple days, so don't feel like you're stuck, you're not. I switch it up. And I'm not the person that, sees, ooh, I can't put these two together. I don't care, I just change it. I just hit random, switches you up, I switch the seats around, so you're not always stuck with pods and stuff. Sometimes we'll go to rows, sometimes we'll go to other things, big columns, table, banquet style. So it's whatever we need that day, that makes sense. Now, cell phones, I expect them to be put in the back caddy. If you have a smartwatch, fine. Now, if it's a test day, I'll probably ask you to remove the smartwatch. Like, there's no purpose to having it on. So, but cell phones, get them off your person. Just put them back in the caddy. Don't make me not trust that you're not putting it back there. Just put them back there when you walk in. And then if you have a disability challenge, you gotta let me know this. Like, from years past, you probably know this. I'm very hard of hearing. Like, I'm almost deaf. So, like, that's why I talk loud. But it's also one of those things, like, if you have a challenge, you've got to let me know. Like, if you're really hard of seeing, like, you can't see the marker board when I'm doing certain things. Like, I'm writing over here and you can't even see it. You got to let me know that. Because I got to put you in a spot where you can see it, or maybe I got to switch up my markers to get something new. So, you got to let me know. Nothing's worse than getting to that first parent-teacher conference in, like, October, and then finding out that you can't even hear me. That's embarrassing. Don't throw me under the bus like that. Like, you got to let me know of any disability challenge, medical things going on. Okay? Cheating, not tolerated. Obviously, we're in a room that I want to be lively conversations. I want you to work and ask questions to your neighbors and to bounce ideas off each other. But I don't want you to be that person that team Xeroxes their homework. You just look and go, oh yeah, that's right, and then you just write down their answer without putting any mental thought into it. That's cheating. I'm not oblivious. I know there's websites like Slater out there. I understand that. I'm not an idiot. Okay? Slater has a purpose. It's nice to check an answer, right? I want to know, did I even get this right? That's nice to know, right? I understand that. I like to know, like, did I even get that right? Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, I'm moving on, right? But if you're just going on there going, okay, the answer number 1 is 2, the answer number 3 is 4, and what are you doing? You're putting in no mental effort. I can tell who cheats immediately because number 1, whoever runs Slater they suck at math. Like, they're really bad. Like, they don't know what they're doing sometimes. And the other thing is, like, you pass all the homeworks, assignments with 100% and you get to the test and you fail my test. Red flag, you've been cheating, because if you don't notice, all my test questions, I just took the homework and copy and pasted the question on the test. I don't make up anything new, I'm not that creative. I just took your homework question, like question 1 or 2, and copied it and put it on the test. Does he know how to do it? Does she know how to do it? I'll find out. And then you're suddenly failing tests. How do you even get past the homework with 100%? You just did 15 of those problems, but you couldn't do 1 on the test? That's a little weird. So, don't cheat. You're in here, you can ask me how to do something. So figure it out. If that's too much to handle, you guys decide. You're in high school, life's tough, wear a helmet. Now, homework, test policies. Homework, 3 to 4 assignments a week. Now you're thinking, whoa, 3 to 4. I send little things, 5 problems here. Maybe go check this website and give me an answer to, like, what you're, like, sometimes we do, like, we research like a vehicle. Like, you're gonna buy a car, we're gonna talk about car loans and stuff. Go find a vehicle and just tell me what model and year it is. That's all you have to do. That's an easy assignment. Oh, I want a Porsche 911, 2021, cool, that's what I want, right? So, it could be a short assignment. They don't have to be a ton of problems, If you're gonna get a worksheet, or maybe a Google form, or maybe assign some problems out of the book, I'm not gonna assign something like more than 25 problems. You've got a life outside this room, you have to get it done in a couple days. I'll assign just a few problems, right? But I expect it to be done. Don't come in here and go, oh, I didn't have time. You had a couple days. You should have got that done. You've got to make time sometimes. But I understand you have a life outside here, but sometimes you gotta make time. Now, late work. I do not accept late work after 10 days. It will be a 0. I won't even question it. I look at the date I signed it, I'll write it on my little calendar. After 10 days, it's gone. 0, you don't get to redo it. Now, if you finish that assignment and you just got a poor score, sure, you can redo it. But it's gotta be within a small time frame. Okay, like a week. You're not gonna redo all the assignments at the end of the semester or at the end of the quarter. It's not gonna happen, right? Because we still have like a like that midterm date that you can't go past. So, small time frame. I don't accept late work after 10 days. You guys already heard that. Now, redoing homework. I always have somebody that attempts this. Like, Ward, you said I can redo any assignment. You can redo the problems that you missed, but you have had to have attempted them in the first place. So let's say I always have this one kid that will try this. We have a 10-question assignment. They do one question. They turn it in. They failed it, like epically. Like, well, I'm just gonna redo it later. You get to redo that one problem you tried. That's what you get to do, not all 10 of them. So if you're gonna redo an assignment, you better have attempted them in the first place. Now, test quizzes. You can retake every test once. Every test. Do all of them. One time. Each time. So, I always give you the better of the 2 scores. Because the reason I have all these policies is so that you don't need to worry about your stupid grade. Grades are dumb. They're pointless. Did you learn? Do you know how to use it? Do you know what it's about? If you know that, you're going to be fine in this class. You're going to be more than fine. You know what you're doing. This class doesn't have to be hard. The people that don't do well in here, it's because they don't want to put any mental effort or thought into it. This class is not hard. I'm teaching you stuff you can use, that you'll use in practical, real world. I'm not going to teach you some weird, obscure thing. I'm going to teach you something that you might actually use for once. I've had people that leave this class and they say, why don't we just learn this? This is real stuff I can use. Yeah, it's a nice class. That's why they have financial literacy now. It kind of touches the same topics, but I go more in depth on the math on it. Quizzes. We take a pop quiz, which we do about 1 per chapter. You cannot retake them. It's what you know that day, not what you know 2 days from now. So quizzes, pop quizzes, what you know that day. Can't retake. Expect about 2 tests a quarter. 2 tests a quarter. Couple quizzes spread in there and some homework a lot. So keep that in mind. Questions. Okay, it's not a lot. You're thinking, I'm not trying to overwhelm you. This class is not hard. It's really not. People that have come through here before, they'll tell you it's kind of a nice class. It's kind of refreshing. It's just a different take. More practical stuff you need. Now, grading policy. Still 90s are A's, 80s are B's, 70s are C's, D's are 60s, and F's or anything below that. I still use the 40-40-20 rule, if you're not familiar with that. 40% is first quarter, 40% is second quarter, 20% is still a semester test, unless the admin tells me otherwise. That's the default, so I just go with that. We do take semester tests in here, in December and in May. And yeah, pretty straightforward. Now, if you've already logged into JMC and checked the grade book, there's 55% of your grade is homework. If you're that person that's like, I don't do homework, you just failed really bad, you won't pass, because it's 55%. But then also your tests and quizzes are 40%. So if you are that person that bombs every test because you just keep cheating on homework, you still won't pass. You'll get 55% probably at most. So you'll still fail. And then you still have to give me participation. You cannot be that person that walks in here and puts your head down and expects to pass. You won't. So you gotta give me participation. Participation can be anything. It can be just, hey, I need you to go on your Chromebook and research something. Go find a property if we're looking at houses. Go find a car that you're interested in. And I'll give you the websites you can go look for. Or maybe we're doing a travel thing where you have to go find airline prices on orbitz.com or something like that. Like, we do a lot of weird research stuff. So keep that in mind. Oh, somebody want to open the door? Sorry, I locked it, sorry. Hey! Welcome, welcome. Just take a seat. You can sit anywhere back here if you want. There you go. All right. All right, so. Perfect, thanks. Thank you. Thanks. All right, so now, website, I have my personal website. You guys already know I'm recording, so you guys are aware of that. MrWord.org, HSMath, it's either hsmath.com or .org, it's one of them, but it looks like this. And then ghvmath.com, this is probably the one that most people use, it's the easiest to memorize, GHV Math. I record every 180 days of the year. I post on the website, I don't edit it, whatever's on there, if it's a train arc, it's a train arc, it's online, I don't care. I don't put any mental effort into it. But I post all the videos, so if you're gone, you're sick, you're at a sporting event, you're at something that's, you have a life outside this room, you're at something else, you can watch the video and redo the assignment. So that's the website. They have links for the daily lessons. That's like geometry, consumer, algebra 1. So you can click on it, you can see all the videos. They have the archive of all the previous years. I go back to 2016, so it goes back quite a few years. Then there's other links and stuff. It's pretty. I still use JMC. I'll put the lesson plans on JMC. I put links to the website on JMC. I put what the homework was. But then if you go to my website, it'll have like copies of the worksheet, or it'll have the video of the lesson. And this is like more graphical. It's prettier. It's nice to see. The videos are hosted on YouTube, so you can watch them pretty much anywhere. There's no ads. I don't collect any revenue from it. I can't. That's illegal. So there's no ads on the website either. So it's one of those things. It's very bare bones. It just kind of gives you what you need. There's nothing else fancy on there. So yeah. So I do this just because it's nice if you're gone, or maybe you're just like, God, I don't understand how to do this homework. You can go watch the video. Yeah, but if I notice that people are starting to abuse this, like what I mean by abuse, like that person that won't start doing any of their homework here, or they're just starting to be absent a lot, and they're like, oh, I'll just check your website. That's not how this works. Because I'm not required to use this website. I'm not required to post video, right? It's just, that's a personal hobby of mine, because I think it's interesting, using tech to help you guys. But if I start to see it's abused, I'll just stop doing it. I had to do that a couple times last year with other classes where a kid was just like, I'll just watch your video later. I don't need to pay attention during class. Oh, that's not how this works anymore. So just come in here with a purpose. You're here to learn. Like, don't have a problem with somebody else. Don't cause a personal problem. Just, you're here to learn math. That's what we're here for. You can be lively. We can have some conversations. I love to hear, opinions about certain things when we get to topics and stuff. But it's one of those things, like, we're here to learn practical, everyday things you can use. How do you take out a loan? What's that going to cost you in the long run? Would it have been easier just saving your money and then, putting a down payment? Like, what would that affect? What would, the electric bill, the cell phone bill, like, what would costs be if you're in a real world situation? What's the cost of rent? What's the price of insurance for that? That type of thing. So, yeah, we'll talk about a bunch of different things this year. So it's kind of a cool class. It's very weird. It kind of follows along with the integrate, or what is it? It's not integrated math. It's financial literacy. That's a class that Halsey has. So, yeah. Questions, comments, concerns? Okay, so again, tomorrow we'll get our first textbook. You'll get that. First assignment will be to get a cover on it. Remember, when you walk in this room, make sure you put your cell phone back in the caddy every single day. I don't want to have to ask. And make sure you bring all those necessary materials. Pencil, paper, book, Chromebook, calculator if you need one, but I always have some that you can borrow, but you can't leave this room with them. So just keep that in mind. That's it. That's all I got today. So we got about